Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and also making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make a big batch of pulled pork that I'm going to use across several meals. I'm going to make some curry paste, and I'm going to make some pickled radishes. So, as always, I'm going to start by chopping, and then while I go over the meal plan, I'll tell you what I'll be using everything for. And if you want to follow along, in the description there's a link to my Instagram, and every time I post a Sunday prep day video, I post on there as well with the before and after of the prep and all the ingredients that I plan on using and my meal plan. So that's all the ingredients for the entire week. So also the things you don't see me prep here, like all the meat I'll be using, like the condiments, the rice, the noodles, whatever. So that'll be all on there. So in the meantime, I'm cutting up 2 yellow onions. I'm gonna use one for my curry paste, and the other is gonna go in my pulled pork. So for the curry paste, that's going to go in the food processor. It doesn't need to be super fine, but it doesn't take a lot of time, and this is like my default chop. So there we go. I have my cup for my food processor here. So as I gather my things for the curry paste, I can just put them directly in here. So that will be 1 yellow onion. You can do shallots. You can do smaller onions. I just prefer not using red or something like that, just for color reasons. But yeah, I need a couple of cloves of garlic for my curry paste, so that can go in. And for my pulled pork, I can also just use whole cloves. I don't need to cut them. And here I have 1 clove that I'll just dice up for like a corn salsa. But yeah, let's go over the meal plan. You won't hear me mention breakfast a lot because I don't really do breakfast. I'm just not a breakfast person. And if I do have breakfast, it's something simple like some yogurt with some fresh fruit or something. So I do have some yogurt in the fridge in case I want some, but I don't know if I'm going to have that yet. I'm just not a breakfast person. But yeah, and then luncheons are mostly low-carb, keto-friendly because I'm diabetic and I have to cut some carbs. And the easy way for me to do that was to just cut it from my lunch, except on the cheat days on the weekend when I have some carbs for lunch. So usually on Sunday, just like today, I'm going to have some sandwiches. And today I have some ham and cheese. I'll do some cucumbers, some lettuce. So I'm just dicing up this red onion, and that's for things like corn salsa. Actually, since I have this was an onion like that's split in 2, I think this is actually enough for just the corn salsa. I don't need a whole one. So. And here I just have some spring onions. I have a bunch of them. I need to work through them. And I'll just use them for garnish. So I'm going to cut them at an angle. And I'll sprinkle it on top of a bunch of stuff. So, but yeah, we were on the meal plan. So sandwiches for lunch. And then for dinner, tonight I'm going to do some green beans, some potatoes, and I have some pork, like some fillet. So keeping it pretty simple. I also have a lot of potatoes. I don't eat potatoes that much, but I bought a big bag because that's what they have at the market for very cheap. So I'm trying to use up a bunch of those potatoes. I'll probably do them as potato wedges and just throw them in the air fryer. So that is spring onions. What are we gonna do next? Let's do some chilies. So I have this red chili that I'm just gonna slice up. That's for a corn salsa. I'm just gonna leave the seeds in. We were on Monday, Meatless Monday, for lunch. It's really gonna be leftovers, but the other way around. Because how I plan, because I'm by myself, I usually cook meals just for one. Sometimes you have a big package of something or a big portion of something, and I have to find another use for it. For dinner on Meatless Monday, I'm gonna have some curry with paneer, but I have a big block of paneer, so I have some of that left. So I'm gonna use that for lunch. I'll just put them on skewers, I think, put some kind of seasoning on it, and I'll have that with some cauliflower on the side. I don't know how I'm gonna make the cauliflower yet. I can roast it. I could coat it in some yogurt with some tandoori spices and roast it that way. I don't really know yet, but yeah, it's gonna be some form of cauliflower with paneer, and then for dinner I'll have the the curry. So I'm taking these chilies. I'm just gonna cut them smaller and then cut the end off because I don't want the stems in there, and like you can see there's a lot of seed in there. I'll take those out, not for the spice level as much as I just don't want my paste with a bunch of seeds in them. So that can go out. And then I'll just give it a rough chop just so it's easier in the food processor. Sometimes it gets stuck on top, you know what I mean. Don't want that. So yeah, I'll just de-seed all of these and just put them in there. And by the way, you can use different kind of chilies, different colors. I'm using green just for color reasons because I want a green curry. But if you want a red curry, you just use a bunch of red chilies. And I almost forgot, with my curry, I'm also going to add a bunch of spinach to that for some flavoring. So that's going to be delicious. Then here I have one pepper, and that's mostly going to be for corn salsa with one meal that we'll get to in a bit. But since I'll have some left over, I'll throw it in some other meals as well. Like, for instance, my lunch for Tuesday, that's spinach with some pork. I might just add some peppers to my spinach and some chili as well. But yeah, I'm just gonna dice this up. This is not a spicy pepper, by the way. This is sweet. It's just a pointy shape. And I like using these. If you don't have these, just use a bell pepper. They're just a lot bigger, so there's a lot more to use up if I'm just making meals for myself. And the benefit of having smaller ones is that I can use multiple ones in different colors sometimes. And I like using a lot of color in my cooking because that makes you want to eat fresh things. So, but we're on Tuesday for dinner. I'm gonna do some pulled pork tacos. So that's the pork I'll prepare in a bit, and I'll have that with some barbecue sauce. I'm not making my own barbecue sauce this time. I have before. Usually I make like a keto barbecue sauce because I sometimes want to have that for lunch as well, and there's quite a bit of sugar in barbecue sauce. So I can't do that for a keto-friendly, low-carb meal. But I'm just planning on having that for dinner, at least with the barbecue sauce, so I can just use some store-bought one. Let's see, I have some potatoes here. I'm just going to cut those into wedges for tonight, and I'll just throw those in the air fryer. So pulled pork tacos then, Wednesday for lunch. I'm gonna do some cauliflower mash with some pork. I was gonna do sausage, but they didn't have them at the supermarket, at least not the ones that were on sale. So I just got some other pork instead. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do a pulled pork rice bowl since I have pulled pork ready. So that would be also with barbecue sauce, and I'll serve that over some lime cilantro rice, and I'll make some corn salsa on the side. So let's see, what next? A carrot. I'm just going to peel that real quick. Cut off the end. Cut in half. And I'll just slice this up, and I'll add this in my curry. So we were on Thursday, so I'm gonna use some of that pulled pork for a lettuce wrap, but instead of a barbecue, so I'll do like a hot sauce or something. Maybe I'll mix some hot sauce with some mayo, or maybe I'll just have it by itself, but I'll just do that in some lettuce wraps. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some noodles with some chicken. Haven't fully decided on the sauce yet. That's the one benefit of prepping all the components, not the actual meals. So, but I'll do that with all kinds of different pickles and stuff like that, because I've been really into pickles lately. And one of the pickles I'll use with that are some pickled radishes, but I'm just gonna make a bigger batch. It's just gonna go in the fridge. That'll be good for like at least a week or two. And I can use that for different meals. I've been really into bowls lately, and especially now that it's hot, that's really good with pickles, so I don't have to do a lot of cooking and warm up the entire kitchen. So if I haven't said it already, this cucumber is just for my sandwiches. What are we gonna do next? Here I have some cilantro. I also have some stems left over from last time, so the stems can go directly in my food processor. And the same with these. I'm just gonna cut the stems off, take the little rubber band off, and the stems, just cut them in half. Those can go in my food processor. And then the leaves I'll just chop for my lime cilantro rice. So just give it a rough-ish chop first. Doesn't need to be super fine. And then after that, it's just a lot easier to work with, to keep running my knife through until everything is nice and fine. Okay, so that is cilantro. Then we were on Friday for lunch. I do fish Fridays, so I'm just gonna have some salmon with some green beans. I'll probably grill my salmon. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do a fish curry, since I'm gonna make a big batch of curry paste, so might as well use that for that. So again, I'll use some spinach, I'll use some carrot. I just have some tilapia, or I have some basa. I can use either. Doesn't really matter that much. So let's see. Next up, I have some radishes, and for this, I'm just going to take my julienne slicer, and I'll just slice these. And the reason I'm just using this instead of my knife is just because it's faster and it's a lot more even. And I'll just transfer all of that to this glass jar. And before I forget, I'll also add some mustard seeds just for flavoring. And I'll just put that aside for now, and I'll finish my pickles in a moment. Next up, I have some green beans for 2 portions. Generous portions, because there's not a lot of calories in green beans, so you can eat quite a lot of it. So it's good to get your fiber and just your vitamins. I like eating a lot of vegetables. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna top and tail this whole bunch. Okay, that is green beans done. Next up, I have some cauliflower, and again, enough for 2 meals. This is a small cauliflower, so that's probably gonna be this whole thing. So I'm just gonna take some of the florets off and cut them into bite-sized pieces. So 1 meal was for my cauliflower mash, and the other is to go with my paneer. So yeah, I'll just work through this whole head. Okay, that is cauliflower done. And then next I did put a glove on because I'm just going to peel some fresh turmeric, and that stains really bad and I just don't want to have yellow fingers for the rest of the day. But I'll just peel a bunch of this turmeric, and that can go right in with my curry paste, and I'll do the same for this piece of ginger. I'll just peel that, cut it into big chunks, and throw that in there as well. Okay, that is all the chopping and peeling done. And now I can just put this on here, and I'll just blend this until smooth. And I can just transfer that to a container to store in the fridge. This should last for a week or two in the fridge as well, but I'll probably use it all this week. And you do want to use glass because the turmeric will badly stain plastic. So unless you want some permanently stained plastic containers, use something like glass that does not stain. Also, in the meantime, I'm preheating my Ninja Foodi on saute so I can start making my pulled pork. Now that my Ninja Foodi is preheated, I'm just going to add some oil. And here I just have some stewing pork in large chunks, and I'll just throw that in. And to my stewing pork, I'll add some salt, and then I'll just let that get some color. It doesn't need to cook all the way through because I am going to stew that down, but just a bit of color for extra flavor. While that is going, I'm just going to put the things away that I don't need anymore. I'll also get started on my pickled radishes. So here I just have a saucepan on the heat. I'm going to add some vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar. You can use rice vinegar, you can use apple cider vinegar, whatever you prefer. I have white wine, so I'll do that. And to that, I'll add some sugar. How much depends on how sweet you like it, how much vinegar you're using, etc. I don't like them overly sweet, so I'm using 2 spoons on, about this much of the vinegar. And I'll add a pinch of salt. And I'm just going to let that come up to a simmer, and once it's simmering and all the sugar has dissolved, then it's ready to pour over my radishes. As for the pork, that has a nice bit of color on there, so I'm just gonna pull that out, and then I'll add my 1 yellow onion and my cloves of garlic. I'll just throw that in, and I'll just let that soften for a minute. And I'm just softening that in the leftover oil from the pork. And a few minutes have passed, the onions have softened, so I'm gonna now add my meat back in. I'll add some water. I'll take 2 chilies, just take the top off, and then I'll quickly take the seed out, and I'll throw those in. I'll add some cumin, and I will take 1 lime, and I'll juice that right in. Give everything a good stir, make sure everything is submerged. And then I'm gonna take my pressure cook lid, make sure the valve is closed. I'll change it from saute to pressure cook. These chunks are not that big, so I'm gonna do 30 minutes. And while that does its thing, I'm just gonna check on the pickling liquid. All the sugar and salt has dissolved. So I'm just going to take my jar of radishes that I have some mustard seeds in as well. I'm putting it on a plate, a deep plate, just in case I spill. And I'm just going to pour this right over. And you just want to make sure that you fill it all the way to the top. And then I'll just put the lid on, and I'll let this cool down. So yeah, that's basically it for now. I just need to wait for my pork to be done so I can shred that. So I'll just be back in a minute for that and to close out the video. And the pork was done, so I just shredded that real quick. And that's all the prep work for this week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. I spent about probably 30 minutes hands-on. It took a little bit of time with the pressure cooker, but I was just cleaning up, and I even went out for a walk in the meantime, so I'm not gonna really count that. So If you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. If you would like to see what I ultimately make with all the things that you saw me prep, you can check out my Instagram, where I post every single meal and also the meal plan and the ingredients. Or you can check out the video that I post about once a month on here, where I show you everything I eat in a day. So if that all sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.